Star Trek IV and Picard's Legacy spin-off will be the same if they happen. Star Trek IV and Star Trek Picard's proposed spin-off, Star Trek Legacy, will have the same premise if the long-desired Star Trek projects happen. Star Trek Picard Season 3's ending set up a continuation set on the USS Enterprise G led by Captain 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan. From 2009 to 2016, Captain James T. Kirk Chris Pine commanded the Starship Enterprise in the alternate Kelvin timeline of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. Both Star Trek IV and Star Trek Legacy are in dry dock with no time frame for if and when either will go into production. Star Trek Legacy would potentially be a show about the children of Star Trek, the next generation's iconic crew serving on the newest Enterprise under Captain 7 of 9. It would fuse legacy characters from Star Trek Voyager TNG and perhaps Star Trek Deep Space Nine like Star Trek Picard did. And this includes Q, John DeLanke, returning to torment Ensign Jack Crusher, Ed Speleers. Meanwhile, cracking a suitable story for Star Trek IV has been daunting, with directors like S.J. Clarkson, Matt Shakman, and even Quentin Tarantino exiting Star Trek IV over creative differences. Star Trek IV and Picard's Legacy spin-off will be about older Enterprise crews, along with being set on different versions of the Starship Enterprise in different Star Trek timelines. If Star Trek Legacy and Star Trek IV happen, both would become about Enterprise crews who are older than when audiences last saw them. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies were a reboot about Captain Kirk, Spock, Zachary Quinto, and their Enterprise cohorts in their energetic 20s. But it's been over 8 years since Star Trek Beyond hit theaters. If Star Trek IV happens, it will catch up with Kirk and his crew in their 40s, but it would also be fascinating to see their breakneck heroics tempered by age and experience. Star Trek Picard Season 3's ending also set up Star Trek Legacy to be about Captain 7 of 9 and Commander Raffi Musiker, Michelle Hurd, leading a young Enterprise G crew. However, it's likely that Star Trek Legacy will account for time passing in the real world. This means that if Star Trek Legacy happens, it wouldn't necessarily pick up where Picard Season 3's epilogue left off. It's much more likely that audiences would reunite with the USS Enterprise G after Captain 7 and her crew have been together for a few years, which would be a compelling prospect. Where that would leave the tease between Q and Jack Crusher, however, remains to be seen. Will Star Trek IV or Picard's Legacy spin-off happen? Star Trek Legacy is a project that fans, the cast, and the creative team of Star Trek Picard Season 3, led by showrunner Terry Matalas, have openly clamored for, but Paramount Plus has not opted to move forward. The changing nature of the streaming business and Paramount's sale have boiled Star Trek on Paramount Plus to just a few projects between now and 2026, and Star Trek Legacy isn't known to be in the plans. If Picard's spin-off does happen, it wouldn't be until after 2026, since Terry Matalas is all booked up as showrunner of Marvel Studios' Vision, writing a reboot of Enemy Mine and a Magic: The Gathering animated series on Netflix. Similarly, Star Trek IV has little to no chance of beaming into theaters in time for Star Trek's 60th anniversary in 2026. The last report on the state of Star Trek IV was early in 2024, when screenwriter Steve Yockey was reportedly hired to write a new script. While Chris Pine and his Star Trek movie cast are willing to return, and even excited to play their Starship Enterprise characters as older and more experienced, there is still no known progress on Star Trek IV. Unfortunately, neither Star Trek IV nor Star Trek Legacy can help celebrate Star Trek's 60th anniversary. But if they do happen, seeing the older Kelvin Enterprise and Enterprise G's crews will still be quite a trip. The enduring legacy of Star Trek lies in its ability to adapt, evolve, and bring its visionary future to audiences in new, exciting ways. As the franchise continues to grow, the prospect of Star Trek IV and a spin-off from Star Trek Picard looms large on the horizon. However, despite being distinct in premise and narrative focus, these two projects, should they come to fruition, could represent more than just a continuation of two separate storylines. They could serve as a fusion of ideas that deepen Star Trek's exploration of the future and its characters, blending the spirit of adventure with the timeless themes that define the franchise. The promise of Star Trek IV as currently envisioned is poised to continue the story of the Kelvin timeline, a rebooted version of Star Trek introduced by J.J. Abrams in 2009. The film would likely follow the crew of the USS Enterprise, led by Captain James T. Kirk Chris Pine, as they embark on a new mission in the 23rd century. Given the success of the Kelvin timeline films, Star Trek IV represents an exciting opportunity to further explore the modern dynamics of the crew, especially as they move beyond the shadow of past Starfleet heroes like Captain Kirk and Spock. While the nature of the film's plot remains uncertain, the return of established characters and the promise of exploring the unknown reaches of space will likely be central themes. But the real beauty of this project lies in how it could both continue the adventures of the Enterprise crew and offer a new lens on the broader Star Trek universe. Star Trek has always had a unique way of balancing episodic adventure with long-term character growth. In the case of Star Trek IV, this would allow the film to provide thrilling space action and meaningful personal arcs, while still maintaining the optimism and idealism that fans have come to expect. Picard's Legacy, a spin-off that defines the next generation. On the other hand, Picard's Legacy spin-off, which could likely follow the events of Star Trek Picard, represents a natural evolution of the Star Trek mythos. The Picard series revitalized the franchise by focusing on the iconic Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, in his twilight years, dealing with the consequences of a life filled with complex decisions and unresolved trauma. This approach to storytelling brought Star Trek back to its roots of philosophical exploration, while also updating it for a more mature audience. A spin-off from Picard could take many forms. It could delve into the continued adventures of characters like Seven of Nine, Jerry Ryan, Raffi Musiker, Michelle Hurd, or even the enigmatic export character, Dr. Jurati, Alison Pill, each with their own fascinating stories. Or it could introduce a brand new crew, with the spirit of the Federation and Picard's ideals as a guiding principle. The latter would allow for a new, fresh set of characters, helping to diversify the narrative world while still acknowledging Picard's influence on the future of Starfleet. One thing is clear, the legacy of Picard, whether through the characters directly influenced by him or through the idealistic values he championed, will remain a fundamental part of any potential spin-off. His enduring belief in the ideals of the Federation, freedom, equality, and exploration could continue to shape the next phase of Star Trek, as the franchise further develops what the future could look like after decades of peace, war, and political turmoil. What if both are the same? A unified vision, while both Star Trek IV and a Picard Legacy spin-off could undoubtedly take different creative directions, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they could share a thematic and narrative thread, aligning their worlds in meaningful ways. These two projects have the potential to reinforce and complement one another, showing how the Federation evolves in a post-Picard world. In the shared future, a post-TNG Federation, one that has absorbed the lessons of Picard's era and the lessons of Kirk's adventures, would provide a fascinating narrative playground for both stories. The Picard spin-off could explore the ripple effects of decisions made in the Picard series, such as the return of synthetic life and the Federation's struggle with its moral compass. Meanwhile, Star Trek IV could show a more traditional, action-driven approach to space exploration, with Kirk's crew encountering new challenges that force them to confront the Federation's shifting role in an ever-changing galaxy. In this shared continuity, the legacies of both Kirk and Picard could resonate. While Star Trek may forth offer a more action-heavy, adventure-focused experience, the spin-off from Picard would likely dig deeper into character-driven,